Right, we're going to start with some 2-digit by 2-digit multiplication. And you'll notice I've set all of the questions out in a very particular way, and I would like you to do the same whenever attempting these types of questions. The reason why is because it splits the multiplications out, and it means we're far less likely to make mistakes. So you'll notice the bottom number we're multiplying by, 14, I've split into ones. So we've got 4 ones and tens and 1 10, okay? So we're going to start with 22 times 4. So we begin by doing 2 ones by 4 ones. So 2 ones by 4 ones, 2 times 4 is equal to 8. We carry on. We do 2 tens times 4 ones. Well, 2 tens times 4 is going to give us 8 tens. So we show 8 in the tens column. Obviously, we know 8 tens is equal to 80. So 22 times 4 is equal to 88. So let me just give myself some space here. And we'll carry on. Now, I'm sure many of you will have heard before of what happens when we multiply into the tens column, because now we're doing 22 times 10. And what happens is we always use 0 as a placeholder. But let us talk about why that actually happens, because I think some of us might not be clear on why we use this. And the reason why is because when we're multiplying into the tens column, what we're doing is we're doing 2 times 110. Some of us might, in our heads, when attempting these questions, say, oh, it's just 2 times 1. But actually, we're doing 2 times 110, and 2 times 10 is equal to 20. So we show that with a 2 in the tens column. Now, we carry on. We do 2 tens times 110. So let's have a look. Let's write it out. 2 tens times 110, 20 times 10, and that's equal to 200. So we show that by writing a 2 in the hundreds column. Now, we need to finish this question off by adding our 2 multiplications. So we have 8 ones plus 0 ones is equal to 8. We have 8 tens plus 2 tens. Well, that gives us 10 tens. And the way we show 10 tens is we should write a 0 in the tens column, and our remaining 10 tens we exchange for 100. 10 times 10 equals 100. We exchange our 10 tens for 100. We can then have 200s plus our exchanged 100 is going to give us 300s. So our answer is 308. Now let's move on to a slightly trickier example using 3 digits by 2 digits. However, the format is still the same. Our bottom number that we're multiplying by, we've still split into ones. Here we have 5 ones, and tens. Here we have 2 tens. So let's follow the same process again. We start with 6 ones times 5 ones. 6 times 5 is equal to 30. We show that by writing a 0 in these ones column, and then we exchange our 30 ones for 3 tens. So we write a 3 in the tens column. Now let's continue. We have 3 tens times 5. Well, 3 tens times 5 is going to give us 15 tens, but we need to remember our 3 exchange tens. So right now we have a total of 18 tens. We show that by writing an 8 in the tens column, and our remaining 10 tens we exchange for 100. Right, we finish this first section off by doing 100 times 5. Well, we know 100 times 5 is equal to 500, plus our exchanged 100 is going to give us 600s. So our answer to 136 times 5 is going to be 680. But of course, as you know, we're not finished yet. We now need to do 136 times 20. So once again, we begin by writing 0 as a placeholder here. All right, now let's think about this first calculation we're doing in our second multiplication. We are doing 6 times 2 tens. Let's write this one out. 6 times 2 tens. Well, that's going to be equal to 120. 120 we know is equal to 12 tens. So we show that by writing a 2 in the tens column, and then our remaining 10 tens we exchange for 100. So we write a 1 here. Okay, so right now that number actually shows 120. 6 times 20. But we carry on. So now we need to do 3 tens times 2 tens. 3 tens times 2 tens is exactly the same as 30 times 20. 30 times 20 is equal to 600. Okay, so we have 600s plus our exchanged 100 is going to give us 700. Now, of course, once you've put your placeholder in correctly, you can actually do 3 times 2 here to get 6 plus 1 equals 7. However, it is useful to understand exactly what these calculations mean because it gives you a sense for when you might have gone wrong and helps you check. So I would recommend you periodically checking by actually writing out the full calculations just to make sure you know exactly what you're doing. So we finish off, we have 100 times 2 tens. 100 times 20 is equal to 2,000. We show that by writing a 2 in the thousands column. Okay, now we need to add them up. We have 0 ones plus 0 ones is equal to 0. We have 8 tens plus 2 tens is equal to 10 tens. So once again, we show that with a 0 in the tens column and we exchange our 10 tens for 100. So we now have 600s plus 700s is equal to 1300s, but adding on our exchange 100, we now have 1400s. So we show that with a 4 in the hundreds column, and then we exchange our remaining 10 hundreds for 1000. We finish it off, we have 2000 plus our exchange 1000 is going to give us 3000 for a final answer of 3400. And the process is exactly the same for 4-digit by 2-digit.